Hello everyone, welcome back to Tutorials College. So let's continue.
What we are going to do is to open this in the VS Code, Visual Studio Code Editor. And if you don't know what VS Code is, or if you need help about installing the VS Code on Mac OS X, you can also follow along with our video that we have uploaded on YouTube. So we'll go to the desktop and projects, and then we'll open this directory in VS Code. So this is a typical Laravel project architecture or structure, wherein there are a couple of folders and each one have a very specific purpose. So app folder is the folder where all the logic, all the controllers, all the middlewares, all the service providers are housed here. So it is basically the business logic. It is the place where the business logic will go, or the basic architecture of the application will reside. Second folder is the bootstrap folder, which is mainly used by the Laravel framework for creating cache files, so nothing to do here much. Config folder is another important folder where all the configuration files for the Laravel project is housed. We can also add our own custom configuration files for our project whenever and as required, and we will in fact go as we proceed in the project. We'll also add some custom configuration files where you will see how it works. Then the fourth directory is databases directory, where we will create migrations for creating the tables in our database, and cdus is the directory where default data can be pushed into the database tables once the application for the first time is installed or started. Then the lang folder is the folder where all the translation files are stored. And let's say that if you build an application which supports multiple language, then you will have to add all those translations here to make it work. Public folder is the folder which is actually hosted for the public end. So whenever a user will strike on your application or access your application, the users will be accessing this index.php page, and then application bootstraps from here. So this is the only directory or file which is accessible to the users normally, and then from here on everything will be linked and presented to the user. Resources directory once again is the presentation layer, and in this directory views, all views are stored, and we'll be using Blade templating engine for this, and all these will be based on Bootstrap 4 or 5, whichever will be the latest version. And then obviously, as pretty much explanatory, the JS and CSS folders are the corresponding style sheets and JavaScripts required for rendering the views. Routes directory houses all the routes, wherein we define what route will be handled by our application, and what controller will be responsible for responding to a particular route. All these things will be defined here. So as we go along in the development process, you will be able to easily grasp what every piece of code does. So in the starting, it may look very complex and very annoying to start, but trust me, things will start to make sense once we go. So do not drop out, keep following and have patience, and definitely it is going to pay you. And if there is any difficulty in learning from our tutorials, please let us know. Once again, I'm saying you can write us in the comments, and we'll try to respond to each and every comment of yours. And the storage directory stores all the framework cache, all the application upload files in the application folder, and logs directory stores all the error and warning logs in the logs directory. So you will be able to see in the developmental process that when the logs will be generated, logs will be stored here. Test once again stores all the tests that we write for our application, and vendor directory is the directory where we include all the third-party libraries. So these are the default libraries pulled in by the composer, which are required by the Laravel itself to start. Apart from that, editor config is for the development developmental process, where we define certain parameters for the IDE to understand how we want things to behave. I am not going to go into that detail. env folder env file is one of the most important environment file, wherein we define all the basic configuration which are required by the application. So for example, we will change the name of our application from Laravel to HIMS, and whatever is the URL you will have to update this URL. And similarly, we are going to update our database connections. So I'll be keeping this default, wherein I'll be changing this one. HIMS will be the database name for our application, and the username will be root and password will be empty, because we are in a developmental machine. For the production, obviously, and of course, you will have to choose a strong username and password so that it is not accessible from the outside world or anybody else. So and from now on, we are going to we would now be using MySQL and PHP MyAdmin to access that. So if you have seen our video on how to set up XAMPP, you can find what is PHP MyAdmin and how you can access it. So if you don't understand any of these, please go to that part of the please go to that video or reference that video. So let's create a new database HIMS which we need for our project, and I'll choose UTF-8 MB4 Unicode CI for greater compatibility with all the languages and everything. So as we have created our database, we can confidently update it here. So we have updated our environment file, and this is the segment where we will be updating our mail server details if we want to send any emails from our application. So I'll be updating that when we will be making use of that mail feature or mail component. Artisan is the command or a command terminal or application, I don't know what to call it, but Artisan is very important part of the Laravel ecosystem. Let's refer to the documentation, what it says about Artisan. Artisan is basically console or a terminal program, whatever you might like to call, and it has great features and lets you do a couple of things very smartly. For example, there is a command for list, and then I think you should read open up this and read the architecture. Sorry, you should open up this page and read the literature about it. So from creating models to controllers, and then to creating commands and running the migrations, everything you can obviously access the application and control the application from the Artisan component. So it is a great place, and you should learn, you should read in fact what Artisan can do for a developer or for a user. So since we have created our first project, we have connected our database. Now what we need is to set up our view layer. And one thing, we can also obviously interact with the Laravel application through Artisan console from the terminal itself, or also we can also open the terminal in the VS Code itself through the command tilde shortcut. So it is pretty much the same. As we can see that we are in the correct directory. So what I want to do now is to add the library called Laravel UI. I don't know where it is listed here, but I know how to do it, so I'll go there directly. Laravel UI, we will include the composer require Laravel. I don't know why every time I spell the wrong, I spell Laravel wrong. So this is the composer directory where whatever we add the dependency from the composer, it will be obviously included in the project and will be listed here in the require segment of the. So we have added the Laravel UI library, and now we are going to add the default authentication provided by the Laravel for the Bootstrap UI. So PHP artisan UI bootstrap dash dash auth for creating the authentication module for us. So authentication scaffolding generated and bootstrap scaffolding obviously added. Now we need to run this npm command to compile the JS and CSS assets. So npm install and an npm run tab. So this command, what this command will do is to compile these assets into one file and then app.css into one file in the compress form, and it will be included in the views layouts directory, app.layout, so that we can start using this. So once I will be going into the views detail, I'll show you what I mean here. So let's access our application. To access our application, what we need to do is to there are two ways to access this. If we have installed XAMPP, we can also access the same from localhost. No, we cannot access it from localhost. Sorry, I forgot that. We will have to go to the projects directory, because it is because we haven't added the project directory to htdocs of the XAMPP folder. We have created the project directory on our desktop. That's the reason we have to do this way, and I prefer it because we don't have to go into the htdocs directory every time, and then there would be sub directory part in the localhost of the URL. And to run the development server, what we are going to do is to PHP artisan serve. Now web server is started and accessible on 8000 port. So our application is up and we can use the login feature or the register feature. So this is the pretty basic start of the Laravel application, wherein we have this basic authentication module ready for us. And the next thing that we want to do is let's say that we want to register a user. We cannot do that because we have added the information in the env file, database information in the env file, but still we haven't migrated those files. So we will need to do that. So to run these migrations, what migrations do is create the structure for the application. So our HIMS database is empty right now. So once we run PHP artisan migrate, it will create the database scaffolding in the database. So let's refresh this page once again, and we can see that we have been presented or created with the users table, which has these fields, and then we have some other tables required for the database, required by the Laravel application for the password reset and some other access API access features as well. So let's go and try to register a user. Tutorials college is the user, email is tutorials@college.com, password would be dummy password, Okay, we have a problem here. It is saying that our npm run dev terminal is not working, or it is not. So let's start that. Npm run dev basically constantly runs in the background and compiles any assets that we may have changed. So let's refresh this, and as we can see that we have logged in successfully. So I will log out and I'll try to log in. Tutorials@college and password is password, and we have successfully logged in. This is pretty much basic and everybody can reach till this point, but people tend to get confused from here on, then that how to go to the next step, or how to proceed. So I think this is it for this part of the video. In the next part of the video, we will be adding a basic module about patient information addition or storage and retrieval or deletion. So in the next video, what we will be doing is we will be creating a model and explaining what model is and how it interacts with the database, and then we will also be creating a controller and we will be adding a route. So in the next video, we will be demonstrating all these, and we will learn together that how we can build a great application in Laravel. So thank you so much for watching till the end of this video. Please subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so that notifications reach you. And thanks again. Goodbye. Have a nice day.